everyone. I welcome you all to today's topic decodified session. In this session, we are going to talk about Solomon Islands, which is in news because after refusing access to US and UK ships to its ports earlier this month, the Solomon Islands have now temporarily halted all naval visits whatsoever. We shall be covering this particular topic in the following sequence. We shall be looking at the key highlights related to the events. Then we shall be understanding the location of Solomon Islands, because from the map's perspective, this could be a very crucial topic to cover. We shall be understanding from IR perspective the past of Solomon Islands, the background of the whole story. Then we will talk about the Chinese link to the picture, this whole story, and what is Solomon Islands stance we will be able to understand thereafter. Then we will be looking into what is behind China's growing influence in the region of Solomon Islands. Then we shall always look for certain more aspects. So we shall be looking for the Western concern, followed by the prelims and means based practice questions for you all. But before we move any further in our discussion, we have to pay attention towards a very crucial announcement regarding GS Paper 2 Polity and IR and GS Paper 4 Ethics. The batches for these two, the foundation batches for 2023 are going on. The admissions are open for a couple more days, so don't miss out on this opportunity. Also, public administration batch is going to begin on 25th of September. You are going to be taught by Nitin Shivhare sir, who is the founder and director of Analyst IAS. Do connect with us on the given numbers to inquire further regarding the courses and the admission, and you can also visit our office in the old Rajinder Nagar market. Now let's get back to the topic and understand the key highlights. So the country's move, as in Solomon Islands move, is a departure from the norm and is being seen as an attempt to appease China. So it seems like Solomon Islands are trying to impress the Chinese regime. This raises concerns about China's growing influence in the country and the region at large. So if we are talking about region, we have set our premise with regards to the location of Solomon Islands. Let's understand about that. So the Solomon Islands is a sovereign country consisting of 6 major islands and over 900 smaller islands in Oceania, to the east of Papua New Guinea and northwest of Vanuatu. Its capital is Honiara. It is located on largest island, Guadalcanal. It is part of ethnically Melanesian group of islands in the Pacific and lies between Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu. The country takes its name from Solomon Islands archipelago, which is a collection of Melanesian islands that also includes the Northern Solomon Islands, a part of Papua New Guinea. So Solomon Islands is a separate country, but when we talk about Northern Solomon Island, it's part of Papua New Guinea. It excludes outlying islands such as Santa Cruz Islands and Renal and Bellona. So the location, when it's clear. Now let's talk about the past, the background. The islands, which were initially controlled by British Empire during the colonial era, went through hands of Germany and Japan as well. It then went back to UK after the Americans took over the islands from Japanese during World War II. The islands became independent in 1978 to become a constitutional monarchy under the British Crown with a parliamentary system of government. Nevertheless, its inability to manage domestic ethnic conflicts led to close security relations with Australia, which is the traditional first responder to any crisis in the South Pacific. So how did China enter the whole picture? That still is a question unanswered for us as far as this session is concerned. So let's talk about that at a glance. Earlier this year, the Solomon Islands established a security agreement with China saying it needed Beijing's assistance with its domestic security situation. But the announcement had rattled the West, especially the US, Australia, and others in the Indo-Pacific region. The concerns were that agreement could potentially lead to a Chinese military base on the island nation and a gain in power projection capabilities. At that time, following intense scrutiny, the Solomon Islands had denied that the agreement would allow China to establish a naval base. The island insisted that the agreement was only to assist the Solomon Islands with what he called hard internal threats. And what is the stance currently? So the government has asked all partner countries with plans to conduct naval visits or patrols to put them on hold until a revised national mechanism is in place. So currently all naval power surveys from the Solomon Island territories are prohibited. The revised national mechanism applied to all foreign vessels seeking access to the country's ports. The nation wanted to build up its own naval capacity. It had some unfortunate experiences of foreign naval vessels entering its waters without any diplomatic clearance. So this keeps on happening with small island countries. Bigger countries don't really pay attention to them, and it then hurts their self-respect, dignity, sovereignty, and that's why they have to take such stances often. So what is behind China's growing influence in the region? We have understood what Solomon Island asked China for, but there is no dispute that China has been rapidly increasing its presence and influence in the region for over 3 decades now, particularly in South Pacific. South Pacific. Certainly, Beijing views the Pacific Island region as an important component of its Belt and Road Initiative. Specifically, it sees the region as a critical air freight hub in the so-called Air Silk Road, which connects Asia with Central and South America. And now let's understand about the concerns of West with regards to the same. So the United States and its regional allies such as Australia and New Zealand are concerned that the China-Solomon Islands Security Pact allows Chinese naval vessels to replenish there. Because if it is restricting the access, what it does have to do the same in implementation, probably the Chinese aid. That could open the door to Chinese naval base, which would significantly extend China's military reach in the South Pacific. It is likely that this security agreement between China and the Solomon Islands has been driven by what the CFR calls Beijing's sense of vulnerability in the region. So this was about all the information we had to discuss with regards to this particular topic of Solomon Islands. Now let's get to the prelims practice question. Walai Island, sometimes seen in news recently, is located in which of the following regions? A. Gulf of Kutch, B. Lakshadweep, C. Gulf of Mannar, and D. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. You shall be answering this particular question in the comment box below. You can also pause this video to do the same. The answer for this particular question is C. Gulf of Mannar. Now let's look at the mains practice question. As a rising China projects its economic and military power into the Indian Ocean, any strategy for regional balance by the government in India would necessarily involve the economic and military development of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Examine. You shall be answering this particular question in 250 words and send in your answers to us on WhatsApp to get them reviewed. This is it for today. I shall see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining in.